I live aboard a boat that was never, and I mean never, designed for sub-freezing temperatures. Last winter, Norfolk got thrown in the deep freeze, along with much of the rest of the East Coast. I not only froze my ass off, but I was not able to work on my never-ending list of boat projects. Since I'm retired now, the solution was simple. Go south, young man. 10 million Canadian geese can't all be wrong. For East Coast boaters, the water trail to warmer climates is the Intracoastal Waterway, or ICW. This waterway is a series of bays, rivers, and man-made canals, all linked together. You can boat from Norfolk to Miami without ever having to go out in the ocean. However, some boaters choose to go out into the ocean for some segments of the journey in order to avoid shallow water in the ICW. In addition to pleasure boats, commercial tugs also use the ICW. As usual, I had some boat projects I wanted to finish before heading south. The varnish teak on my boat needs one maintenance coat of varnish each year, so that was a pretty big priority. I also refinished much of the teak on my upper deck. The 3 diesel engines on my boat were due for new fluids and filters, so that was another chore I needed to complete before leaving. The hoses that connect to my transmission were looking not all that great, and one hose had started to leak, so I replaced all 4 hoses. I also flushed the fresh water system on my starboard engine. On my port engine, I replaced a screw-in fitting, which had been leaking oil during my Lake Champlain trip. On more than one occasion, I have pulled my Bruce anchor out of the mud while backing down on it. So I decided to try out a new type of anchor called a Rockna, or something like that. I still have the Bruce in the lazarette if I need it. And I cleaned up 100 feet of old anchor chain with rust neutralizer and galvanizing spray paint and added that to my chain collection in the anchor locker. The windlass foot control switch had managed to annoy me one too many times, so I replaced it with manual momentary toggle switches at both the outside windlass location and on the inside lower helm location. The toilet bowl in the forward head was proving messy to clean, so I added a seawater washdown hose to dislodge, let's say, deposits stubbornly clinging to the inside of the toilet bowl. I replaced the electric horn on the boat, a quick and easy fix of something that had not worked as long as I have owned the boat. Another item that has never worked as long as I have owned the boat is the windshield wiper. This was not so quick and easy. The new wiper was different enough from the old wiper that I had to completely redo the wiring and installation. After finishing up all those chores, plus taking care of a couple medical issues, I was ready to depart for the roughly 500-mile trip to my new winter marina in Brunswick, Georgia. After 13 years at Bay Point Marina in Norfolk's Little Creek Inlet, I finally packed up my sea bags and headed off on a Sunday morning into my ICW adventure. A few hours later, I dropped anchor in the Hampton River, had a nice lunch next to Hampton University, grabbed some fuel at Blue Water Yachts, tied up at Hampton City Piers for the night, and had dinner with my buddy Joe. Monday started out pretty gloomy, but I headed out anyway, steaming past downtown Norfolk on the Elizabeth River. Eventually, I tied up at Great Bridge for the night, in between the locks and the bridge. Although the Tuesday afternoon forecast called for wind and rain, it was beautiful on Tuesday morning. I had a nice walk and checked out the new Visitor Historical Center that is under construction just east of the bridge. There are free docks at the visitor center, but no water or electrical hookups that I could see. It looked like the visitor center would be open for business next year. The afternoon storm was rowdy but brief, and I kept myself busy with the sewing project and watching the boats pass by as the rain moved through the area. By Wednesday morning, I was headed down the ICW once again. I originally planned for another relatively short day, but a user unfriendly forecast for Thursday changed my mind. I decided to push further so as to end up in a good hiding place for tomorrow's weather. The light was beginning to fade when I finally entered the Alligator River just past Albemarle Sound, and it was black as the ace of spades by the time I dropped anchor in South Lake, my hiding spot of choice. Thursday was spent at anchor doing odd jobs. I finished up my sewing project, a cover for my compass. I also discovered why my port engine was running a little hotter than my starboard engine. The reason was the fact that the impeller was not aging gracefully. A new impeller made the engine run roughly 12 degrees cooler. Even on a boat trip, the boat projects never stop.